She may contain the urge to run away, but hold her down with soggy clothes and breeze blocks. Cetirizine, your fevers grip me again. Never kisses, or do you ever send a full stop? Do you know where the muffins go? They go along to take your money. Way down how we build up.
About 6:40. Woke up a little early, so got to school early. Decided to sit outside and watch the sunrise while people showed up. Sunrise is not too exciting, but it's happening. Got some work to do. Yeah, just waiting for people to show up.
Have you taught Mr. Hunt, Mr.Nestlerode?
Who?
Mr. Hunt, Mr.Nestlerode?
No, I don't remember a Hunt or a Nestlerode. What do they look like?
So how should we start this, do you think, Julian?
Okay. Is that camera recording too?
Yep.
Okay.
What are their first names?
Chris Nestlerode and Jamal Hunt.
Nestlerode?
Yeah.
Is that a real name? Sounds like a hastily created pseudonym of some kind. You know, like you're trying to create a fake name, but you can't think of a good one, and so you come up with Nestlerode. Like, what is that? Like nestling. What isn't that like canoodling?
Yeah.
So the Nestlerode, is that like some kind of canoodling thoroughfare?
Do you like the community here at PCS?
Yeah. I think part of the reason why I teach here and have been around the community for so long is because I like it. Be a little worried if I didn't like the community and spent all my time here. I want to make the community just better in a way, or in whatever ways I can. And then just supporting all the stuff that students do, because they do neat things.
You know, I do remember Chris Nestlerode. There was this day in class where he had this huge burrito. It's bigger than a football. And all the other kids said, "That's foolish. You can't eat a burrito that big. Nobody can eat a burrito that big." But then he started eating this burrito. About 40 minutes into it, it became completely obvious that he couldn't eat the burrito because it was basically it's bigger than his head. I mean, it's just foolish. You know, why would you think you could eat that?
What's it like working with teachers who have taught you?
It was a little weird at first. It was weird just in the sense that those were my teachers, but I had enough interactions with them after I graduated. I mean, I would come in and talk and figure out, because I roughly knew I wanted to go into teaching during college. I didn't quite commit to it till the very end, but so starting to have that interaction helped. It was definitely different, and like, so I'll still reference like Mr. Coons as Coons. Like, he'll never be Bill to me, because that's just foreign and weird. But I think one of the coolest things about it is being able to like work with them and talk with them, and like, because like they had such a big influence on me and probably me becoming a teacher in my own education. Like Mr. Coons, again, I had him for 5 math classes, which is absurd. Like, to have one teacher in the same subject, and like I loved every year of it. And now like to see him teach or see like students still have him is like this cool thing. And that's a part of it.
Personally, I live life according to a few very simple rules. 1, always pay cash. No, wait, always get paid in cash. And 2, don't try to eat things that are bigger than your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just foolish.
I like the community more than I like the American community overall. So if you were to take all average people in America, I would choose to be here more than the average. I guess I would say there's a distinct lack of communing going on in the community. So I actually don't know how much I like most of it, but the parts of the community which I choose to surround myself with, I like quite a bit. Like Mr.Nestlerode's pretty all right, and yeah, that's the only person I surround myself with. So.
There was a TV show that I used to watch called, I think, Breaking Rad. And there were these two characters, Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. Did you ever see that show?
I think I might have seen a few episodes, yeah.
Well, those two in high school were like Walter and Jesse. Except actually just like Jesse and Jesse. It was like two Jesse Pinkmans at our high school. Does that answer your question?
I think I've known Mr. Hunt since around 8th or 9th grade. Maybe briefly in 7th, but I don't think I had any classes with him. And then really got to know him at the end of high school. It was cool. It was kind of one of those unexpected things. Like, I didn't really talk to him when we were both in college because he was at Berkeley and I was in Boston. And I just kind of lost connection to some of my high school friends. But then when I started subbing 5 years ago when he was study hall monitor, I was like, hey, I know you. And we were friends. We should be friends again. And so that was kind of a nice connection. And so it's just one of those things that built and brought us back to being good friends. Then we both got full-time jobs here the next year. And so that kind of helped things along, brought us back to being good friends.
How long have I known Mr. Nestlerode? Well, we both went to school here in 1999, but I didn't really talk to Mr. Nestlerode at the beginning. I was frightened of him. He hung out with a different crowd. Yeah. But then by 2000, I wasn't so frightened. And we became chums. We actually only really became chums. I guess it would be when we really started working here. We sort of, in the first years, in my class at least at PCS, everybody was friends, and there was no real outcast group of any type. And I think it's kind of like that now for some classes. But we didn't really hang out like one-on-one very much. So we'd be in groups and stuff, and we're friendly. But in high school, we didn't hang out very much. And then now, since pretty much all we do is go to work and hang out with each other outside of work, then become pretty good friends in the last 4 or 5 years, yeah.
So the amount of work I'd put, say, towards like just my teaching is probably a couple hours a day, maybe. It's hard to really put a number on it because I get distracted easily. I'll be walking around, I'll talk to students, I'll help with sports teams, I'll go for a run. But like yesterday, like I got here at 6:45 and then taught 3 classes, went to student government, got dinner for student government, went to the board meeting, got home at 10, got back here at 7 this morning. That was like the board meeting, which I don't have to go to, but I choose to go to. It's almost like for high schoolers, like, your education and your extracurriculars are what you make it. Like my extracurriculars are, during my free period, I sit in multivariable calculus every day and do the homework for that and don't take the quizzes. But that could be time I spend grading or planning, but this is kind of more enjoyable at times, or it's more interesting, or it's an opportunity, I guess.
Well, this thing people say about how Chris Nestlerode lives at school, right, and he's always here. That was true in high school as well. He was always here. So much so that people started to ask questions. And as it turns out, the reason he was always here is because he had killed his family. Buried them under the floorboards. At some point the smell became intolerable, and that's when he was, quote, always at school.
I'd taken some trips around, not super far around the world, but I've been across Canada and through Mexico a lot and up to Alaska, and done lots of road trips all over the U.S. And I always found that there were I found places which were kind of about as good, and I would have felt just as happy living there, but no place that was better. So I guess it was a default. Like, if I don't find something better, I'll probably just move back to Santa Cruz. And I don't have very much of a bug to like escape or do something important or discover things. So I'm just like happy living my life. So something about me is I really don't like having to sort out the same problem more than once. So if I could have every problem solved by doing something one time, even if it was really hard, I would prefer that. And I apply this most to the food I buy. So basically when I want something or I'm out of something, I just buy a whole bunch of it. So for example, like maybe a year and a half ago, I decided I wanted some oats, so I bought 100 pounds of oats. And you can see I've been working my way through it, and it's nice because I basically haven't had to think about oats for a year and a half. They're just here. I put them in these containers. So I got these, they're actually dog food containers, but they're high quality plastic. We got some rice over here, dog food in the center, being used to its intended purpose, and the oats over there on the left. Got a whole bunch of cans of stuff. I bought 10 pounds of protein powder. I went kind of nuts on Indian spices. You can see these are like $2 packets of Indian spices, but I bought them in bulk and probably got about 20 pounds of Indian spices. So I'm pretty much set up on Indian spices for the foreseeable future. Got like 50 pounds of beans in here. Bought, you know, a case of Cliff Bars. I wanted some chocolate the other day, so I bought 2 boxes of chocolate, 2 pounds of cumin powder, and it's much cheaper this way. I got tea over here. This isn't so much buying in bulk as just collecting a whole bunch of tea. So I like tea, but this is maybe about half of the tea I have right here. All right, I thought I'd show you a couple things that are small parts of my life, but probably somewhat unusual. First up is the Daugs. These are Japanese toys. They cost about $2, and they're pretty weird. We see here we have some kind of puppy on pancakes with whipped cream and blueberries and strawberries. Next up we got a Chihuahua and a croissant. Third up we got, it's a puma or a jaguar, I'm not sure which, in army gear. So if you like army men and animals, then this is the series for you. So here's another important part of my life. I sort of mess around with music. The first thing I'll show you is my Juno 6. It's a pretty sweet analog synth. Got it a few years ago. It's just fun to mess around with. So each one of these, actually hold will be good. If we just play a chord here, you can see how each one of these things changes the way it sounds. Get it going real fast here. Let's go crazy. So yeah, that's the Juno.
Yeah, you're very welcome.